Hey, welcome back to Kentucky Plant Daddy. It's your boy Jordan, and today's video is going to be ranking my Hoya. I think that I have 25 types of Hoya. We're going to rank them from last place to first place in today's video, and I basically have them grouped into 3 sections, which is my least favorite sections, the ones that I'm just okay with, and then my most favorite section. So we're going to start with our least favorite section first. Okay, guys, so the first 4 I'm going to go through together. And in 25th place, we got the Hoya variegated Carai. This plant was much smaller when I got it, and it has grown for me. The reasons why that I am not loving this plant is that it always grows in funky. Like, this is a new leaf, and look at those edges. This is a new leaf, and it's long and weird. This is a new leaf. This is a new leaf. Look at these weird brown edges. So at first I thought maybe it was pest related, so I put it under a microscope, maybe thinking broad mites or flat mites. But the thing is that I didn't see anything. And also, this plant's still growing, so I'm not quite sure. I just have been overall unhappy with it. Its growth pattern's really weird. So I really don't know. It's in last place. My options for this plant that I've been thinking over in my head is to just rehome it, because it is not my favorite at all. Or I've also thought about just chopping it up and trying to get maybe a section of it that I do like. But for now, this is my last place Hoya. In 24th place, I'm going to go with this variegated Incrusata. And so basically, I bought this plant on Facebook, and these bottom leaves are not looking the best. They just look dehydrated and some browning and stuff. For the longest time, this didn't grow anything for me, and then randomly it put out this one single vine, starting with this leaf, and then this is new growth, this is new growth. So I'm happy about the new growth, but the situation is that the new growth doesn't have the variegation that the old growth does, if you can tell. And so I think what I'm going to do is chop this plant up, just that new vine that it shot off, because it's shot off all the way to here. So, and then try to root each section of 2 leaves as individual plants, and then plant it up together and see if I can get a healthier looking plant started up that way. So that's the Hoya Incrusata, and I think it's variegated, or it has a name other than that, but I can't remember it. The 23rd plant is my Hoya sigillatus, and you guys watched me pop this up from cuttings whenever I did my Q&A, and basically it just is the slowest grower ever. I think those 2 leaves there are the only growth that I've gotten on it so far. It really doesn't like to be watered. It dies very easily if you overwater. And so it's just really persnickety, and it is not one of my favorite Hoyas that I own. And then in 22nd place, I have Hoya Induensis. And I like the shape of this Hoya. It's a scalloped leaf. And then I think it's a really slow grower, which is fine. But I had a third section, because I think I have 2 strands in here. I had a third section, and it completely rotted off. So I chopped all that up, and then I chopped it at each section and put it in a prop box. So I have some of this propping. Maybe I'll turn it into a full plant. But I don't usually have a ton of problems out of Hoyas. So when Hoyas give me problems, they go at the end of the list. And I like the look of this Hoya. It's just been the rot issue that I had with the one vine, and the fact that it's a pretty slow grower. So that is why Hoya Induensis is 22nd on my Hoya list. Okay, guys, so the plant that's going to come in 21st place is my Hoya obovata. So I really love the round leaves. It's like a beautiful plant. It's shooting me up a vine here. My problem with this plant is that I bought this in soil and left it in soil, and it rotted on me. Like the stem got all like weird and black, and so I had to chop it and then I had to propagate it. So I only had 2 leaves to go off of, or maybe even 1 leaf to go off of. And then I brought it back. It grew like 8 leaves. And then it did the rot thing again. And this time it was in semi-hydro. So I had it in a little situation like this when I rerooted it. So that's what I did again. I cut it and then I had like 3 sections. So I've got 6 leaves. And then I've got it in semi-hydro again to reroot. I think the plan for this plant is that once it roots again, like where this is like a small container pond and it's like a no drainage situation, I'm going, as soon as it has like a decent little root system, I'm going to repot it into something that has drainage and is maybe just a little bit bigger, because I think that might be my issues with that. But it's a Hoya that has rotted on me, so it kind of goes to the end of the list. Then in 20th place, I have my Qinghungensis. So this is Hoya Qinghungensis, and I really like this plant. But once again, I've just had like a little bit of rotting issues out of it. Nothing major. I don't plan on getting rid of it or nothing, because I think that this can turn into like a big, beautiful plant someday. But I don't think you can tell maybe on camera, but like some of the leaves are just like a little light in color, and then like if you can look down in the pot, there's like a yellow leaf there and there. So like it's just not been easy, and Hoya is a genus that is notoriously, for me, been easy, and so like when they're just not like the most easy Hoya, back of the line. So this is my 20th place Hoya in my collection. So then in 19th place, I have the variegated Hoyetii. And I like this plant. It's beautiful. It's grown for me. I think that it just grows thick, and that's fine. So I haven't gotten like much length, which is also fine. But like some of the growth has come out like weird and woody. Like these things are occurring. So just for the fact that it's been like not a hard Hoya, but like I just don't love it. This Hoya is in soil. I don't dislike this plant. I don't plan on getting rid of it. I've thought about chopping it up and giving it a go in semi-hydro, but that's just like, I have so many Hoya that if I transition them all to semi-hydro, it's going to take a really, really long time. So I'm kind of not wanting to do that. So in 18th place, I have my Hoya publicalis. This is what my Hoya publicalis is looking like. And I like sentimentally love this plant because it was my OG Hoya. It was the first Hoya I ever got. It doesn't look terrible. I think maybe like this leaf right here is yellowing, which just seems like old. I haven't repotted it. It's been like pretty easy. It's just like generic looking, and that's fine. I've thought about maybe giving it like a snip and figuring out if I want to get it in like a different situation than this, but it's just not my favorite Hoya. It's like my original Hoya, so I just like have a hard time getting rid of it. So that one is Hoya publicalis, and that's in 18th place. And then I have my Croniana Silver Splash, and this will be 17th place. And, you know, there's nothing to dislike about this plant. I like this plant a lot. It stays in bloom for me. Also, I keep going back and forth on, like, Croniana versus Lacinosa. I don't know. I can't figure out the difference. Like, these are so similar. The flower's so similar. The shape is so similar. So I'm like, what does it matter? But I like it because it's, like, a long plant. But there's only like a few strands that like are spanning the length of this plant. So I thought about chopping it back to like right here. and giving it like a little bit of a fresh restart. What I like about this plant is that it's always blooming. A bloom will fall away, and then there's going to be a bud somewhere that's got some growth to it that's about to start off. So I like that about this plant. Some dislikes that I have about this plant: this is supposed to be silver splash, I'm pretty sure, and there's not a ton of silver on it at all. And like I said, the way that it's grown is not uniform. Some of the vines are like all the way up here, and then some of the vines are all the way to here. So like I feel like I need to give it like a good chop and give it a nice little restart. But that'll conclude the group of Hoyas that are on my least favorite group that I own. And I would also like to preface this that like not all of these Hoyas do I like want to get rid of. It's just that we've got some work to do. So they're just some of my least favorite Hoyas in my collection. Not like that I don't want them anymore, except for the Carrie. I just am totally over that plant. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and move into the second group, which is my like middle of the pack. I'm okay with these Hoyas, and they're not my favorite, they're not my least favorite, but they've got some good things going on with them. So the 16th place Hoya that I'm going to talk about is a variegated Carnosa compacta. And you guys know in my intro to my collection videos that I showed this plant, and it was like much smaller. So it's like grown really well for me in this semi-hydro situation. It has good variegation. It's growing for me. I think my only worry is that once again, it's in this small, no drainage setup. So I am going to repot this soon. I have like 3 other chunks in a prop box of this same plant that seem to be putting off new growth as well. So I'm trying to wait and let them get some roots in that moss, and then I'm going to pot them all up together in a semi-hydro but with drainage. And I'm hoping that like this can be the start of like my bushier or good plant. So that was 16th place, Hoya Carnosa compacta variegated. In 15th place, I have my globulosa. So I really love this plant. I love that it's hairy on the under part of it. It is just like can get pretty big and veiny. This grew, I'll put a picture here of like it was like tall and beautiful, and then it just kind of got out of control, so I had to do a chop and I rooted it, and now it's like rooted in this no drainage semi-hydro situation. This is a new leaf that's like doing something there for me, like within it, which I can't show on camera, but like I can see a few buds starting to like going to turn into a vine. So this is a good Hoya, and it rooted easy for me, and I just enjoy this Hoya. I don't know why. I think it's just like the shape and the big long leaves. I just really enjoy the globulosa. So that's 15th place. 14th place is a plant called the Hoya Ande Violet, A-N-D-E Violet. And like this was very much smaller when I got it, and so it's grown like this much. I put it in pond as soon as I got it. It's not giving me any issues. It has grown. I know it's like a thin-leaved Hoya, so I think it like enjoys the consistency with keeping it watered. And so a lot of Hoya lovers, they just like love collecting, and like you'll get like species after species that are like these thin-leafed green Hoyas. I don't have a lot of that because like this one is meeting my need. So like this is one of the only ones. I think I do have another coronaria that is further down the list that is kind of similar but still way different. So but I'm not just like into collecting them just like to collect them. I like them to have like some uniqueness about them, but like this one has been a really good grower for me, has been easy, and so I've really enjoyed keeping the Ande Violet. And this is number 14 on my Hoya collection list. Number 13 and 12 were like neck and neck, but I'm gonna have to go with my Hoya Super Silver as number 13. And I just gave this one a good little haircut and put like a bunch of sections into a prop box. And so I really just love the color of this guy. Like, you can't beat that. Like, please look at this. It's beautiful. One problem that I was having, which has led to me go ahead and like trying to chop, is that, like, you know, on Hoyas, most of the time you get like a section and like 2 leaves are going to sprout like that, one on each side. Mine was like keeping 1 leaf but dropping the next leaf. And so it was having like these bare stem situations. So I put it under a microscope to see, once again, do I have flat mites? Do I have broad mites? Like, what's the deal? I couldn't see anything on the microscope. So I chopped up all of those like areas, and I'm rooting them now in a perlite and pond mix. And hopefully we'll have some growth from those, and I can either plant them in and have like a bushier plant, or I can start a semi-hydro version of the Super Silver. But it's one of my favorites just on principle alone of like how it looks. It's a beautiful plant. And then the Sunrise is going to come in number 12. And honestly, it's just like the health and vigor of this plant that I think I love about it. And ever since the growing season has gone away, it usually sits in front of a south-facing window, and it will be like really, really sun-stressed. I'll put a picture here of what it looks like sun-stressed, but it's kind of losing a little bit of that now. But I've added a grow light for it. There you go. You can see some of the sun stress on it. But so still growing, still doing fine. We'll probably have to wait to growing season to get it re-stressed to get that beautiful red color throughout. But I just love how bushy and compact that this plant grows. So that is why it's number 12. Okay, guys, so this is the front section of my OK group. So this will be number 11, 10, and 9 on the list. And number 11 is the Polyneura Brogée. And so the reason why, I know this is just like cuttings, but the reason why that this is so high on the list is because I got this as a single leaf cutting, and it shot out a vine like this for me from here. And then I chopped it and I propagated it. And so then it shot out this vine. So you can see that I have a good section here that I'm eventually either going to propagate or just replant this entire situation. This is semi-hydro. It's all pond. And this plant is a thin leaf Hoya and really seems to like the pond. It was a single leaf cutting, and it's just given me such good growth that I could not have it anywhere else on the list but number 11. Here are the propagations that I took. I think I took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections, and they both had 2 leaves apiece. So, and you can see that they're just rooting into this pond and leca, and they're loving it. So they're shooting off new branches themselves. I think I have 3, no, they're all shooting off new growth, like every one of them. So I think that what I'm going to do is I'm going to pot these all together in like a big planter, probably like a 6-inch, and have like this big Hoya Polyneura. Okay, I lied. This one was easier to get untangled than I thought. So this is the Hoya Parasitica Black Margin, and it has just been such a good grower. I haven't potted it up from its like terrible soil from like Plantarina, I think I got this from, and it was just not bushy at all when I got it. It's so bushy, and then like long vine, like all these vines. It's just grown so well, and it's been super low maintenance. I haven't had to do anything with its potting or anything. I don't know if you can see the black margin or not with like the lighting the way that it is. I'm trying to bring my light in. But there is a black margin around every leaf. And it's a little bit of a splashy Hoya. So I just enjoy this one a lot. And it is in 10th place of my Hoya list. I would definitely recommend getting one of these. It's been such a good grower. Okay guys, I went ahead and got number 9 on the list up here too. It's just kind of a big plant. I didn't want to risk like messing with the blooms too much. But this is the Hoya multiflora. And there is a beautiful shooting star flower. This is what it looks like before. So like you can see, it's budding up. It's going to eventually turn into a flower. And then there's another one underneath it. There's another one over here. There's another one in the back. So this plant is just like Bloom City. That's what I love the most about it, is that it's kind of a plain thin leaf green Hoya, but the blooms make it so worth it. It is a beautiful Hoya. Mine's like super bushy, and if you can believe it, I had just cut this back. So I have a ton of cuttings over here. One second and I'll grab them. Okay, so I cut this many cuttings from this plant. And I cut from the plant where it was not blooming yet. And just to show you how like aggressive it is at blooming, even the cuttings are gonna bloom. I've cut this plant before and it'll drop like these off if they like yellow, but like I have taken cuttings and like that section right there, that's gonna bloom even though it has no roots. I will say that in my experience, this has been a little bit harder to root, and I think it's because of that. I think it's because the plant's energy is on making blooms and not roots. So far, I think that out of the 1, 2, 3, 4 cuttings that I have of this plant, I think that only one section of the cuttings is rooted. And so I cut this for like space management, because like where I keep this plant is getting too compacted with the plant. And then also because if I can get these to root, then I'm going to put it in semi-hydro and have a version of this plant in semi-hydro. So 9th place, Hoya multiflora. It is a great plant. And so this will also round out the plants that I'm just okay with. The next 8 plants are going to be my favorite Hoyas in my collection. Okay guys, so in 8th place and the last plant on my favorites list is this green thin-leafed Hoya called the Hoya coronaria pink flower. And so this one has 3 vines, and I bought it probably looking just like right there. It probably stopped there. And so I got it, and it just has continued to vine up my display rack or my grow rack and completely wraps around all the way to there, and then she's just reaching out for help. But I don't know, it's like kind of backlit. I'm trying to find like a good, it has like this veination, and it's like a thin leaf green Hoya, so it's a little bit, I don't want to say basic, but like it's a little bit basic, but it's just been the most beautiful grower. And I just love exactly what mine has done, which is just, I potted it here and she just started wrapping around, and I just let her live her life. So this is my 8th place favorite Hoya, Hoya coronaria pink flower. Okay, so in my top favorite Hoyas, number 7 is going to be Hoya Bertonier. And honestly, I have just this beautiful, lush Bertonier that's given me 0 out of 0 problems. Like, it has done nothing but grow for me. It needs a little bit of water right now. It has recently, another reason it's just moving up the list is just blooming. There's a bloom back here. There's buds here that's going to turn into a bloom. It's just all over the plant right now. It didn't bloom until fall, and then ever since then it's just been in Bloom City. This is the first Hoya that I've gotten to bloom like it hadn't bloomed prior for anybody else. Like the Multiflora bloomed for its previous owner. The Croniana Silver Splash bloomed for its previous owner. This one had not bloomed, and it's the first one that I've gotten to bloom like without it being in someone else's care first. It's a huge hanging plant. I keep it downstairs in my south-facing window, and she is in soil. And that is 7th place, Hoya Bertonier. Now, in 6th place, I have one of my favorite trailing plants, and that is Hoya Curtisii. And this plant is just so easy. It's very set it and forget it. I will say that if you are an overwaterer, I am, this might not be the plant for you. This plant really pitches a fit if you water it too much. I think during the summer, I water it about every 3 weeks, and over like fall and winter, I go greater than a month watering this. And I'm an overwaterer, so what I do is I have this sitting on like a high shelf that I can't get to unless like it is my intent that day to water this plant. So this plant and me get along great. This is its longest vine here. It goes all the way down. But I've had half a mind to maybe like chop it here and kind of propagate all of this. But I just have it on such a high shelf, and it just like meets my aesthetic needs that I have not considered chopping it. But it's such a beautiful Hoya. It's got a unique shape. The leaves come out orange when it's putting out new leaves. It is one of my favorite Hoya. This is in 6th place, the Hoya Curtisii. Now, in 5th place is my Hoya Macrophylla albomarginata, which I think it's been renamed or reclassified or something, like a latifolia maybe. But I love this plant. I love the leaf shape. I love the texture. I love how thick of a leaf this is. This is a new leaf. It's giving me this vine here all the way up. So I'm expecting it to keep growing. When I got this plant, it was not much of anything, and it has just given me so many leaves. Like, I don't know if you can tell how many leaves are in here, but it's like this little chunk alone is at least 10 leaves. And then there's like a back part to the plant. It just has like been a very beautiful plant. The leaves come in beautiful. I haven't had like issues out of it. It's just a really good growing and like aesthetically pleasing Hoya. So this is my Hoya Macrophylla albomarginata, and it is in 5th place. So in 4th place, I have 2 of the same plant, and I'm just going to group them together so that they're my 4th place Hoya. But this is one that I have just hanging on that same shelf as my Curtisii. This is a Hoya Crimson Princess. And so it also has just grown crazily for me. It's been a super pleasurable plant to grow. It's just, it just is constantly growing. Its vines, you can't tell what's happening over here, but like this is happening. So these vines are literally just sticking anywhere they can stick to try to grab onto something. And then this beautiful color right down the middle. Some of the edges are just pure green, and I think there as well. But I think it looks good with like all the white in the middle. Plus, I got this from like a Facebook purchase. So there's no way of knowing if like regular carnosa is planted in here to make it fuller or something. But this middle section is Crimson Princess, and it just trails so beautifully. Okay, so my second Crimson Princess is like a bushier, more variegated version. I think it's like a narrow form maybe. I don't know that much about them, but like, look at that. So color wise, this is a more beautiful plant. And honestly, even though that other plant is full, this plant is like fuller. It just doesn't have the length to it. So it's like very aesthetically pleasing, like down low on like the, you know, those like 3 shelves, plant holders, like on the last shelf. And it's just like this beautiful bush of a thick leaf Hoya. It's just so beautiful. I haven't trimmed this plant. It just grows so compactly that like I don't see it getting length to it for like a while. This is, I don't know what it looks like to you guys, but like the leaves come in like a little bit pinkish there. But yeah, so I think that this is just going to be like a thicker, shorter version, but like very highly variegated. And I love both of them. I can't get rid of them. I don't have many duplicates in my collection, but this is one of the duplicate plants that I have. Like, look at that little bunch right there. It's just gorgeous. So in 4th place, this is my Hoya Crimson Queen or Princess. Okay, guys, so we're in the top 3 of my favorite Hoyas, and in 3rd place is my Hoya Linearis, and it's just such an easy grower. Look how beautiful this plant is, just so aesthetically pleasing. And if this crumpled up and died on me today, I would 100% shell out some money to buy a replacement Linearis. It is one of my favorite plants in my Hoya collection, but also just one of my favorite plants in my collection. I think it's very unique looking. It grows so well. It hasn't given me many problems. And I think it is a Hoya worth holding on to. The Linearis is a beautiful trailing plant. I have it in this little hanging basket just because it's so beautiful. I don't have many plants in hanging baskets, but I think if you don't have this one hanging, then like, what are you doing? You know, I guess if you put it on a top shelf, but then I like to make sure that the top of this is getting light so that it'll give me adventitious growth. Like this branch here is just shooting out the top all of a sudden. And it's just going to give me a thicker looking Linearis. So if you guys don't have a Hoya Linearis, I highly recommend. It is one of my favorite Hoyas. Okay guys, so now we're going to talk about my second favorite Hoya, and that is my Hoya latifolia. This has been a treasure to grow this plant. I love it. I love the texture. This is the newest leaf here. It's humongous. And I don't know about the growth pattern. Like it's just kind of grown up every time for me in some form or fashion. So when I got this plant, it was a 2-leaf Hoya, and now it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 leaves, plus if you look, there's leaf number 9 coming in. So tiny when they start. It's amazing. But obviously the newest leaf is loving life, so I'm going to leave it alone. I will say it's in like a chunky mix with like cocoa and stuff, and the roots are just coming out of the bottom. And so it looks like it needs an up pot, but as long as it seems to be putting growth out like this, I'm not going to do anything to it. If it puts out a few leaves that go back to being like pretty small, I'll go ahead and up pot it at that time. But Hoya latifolia, one of my favorite Hoyas. It's my second favorite in my entire collection. I've been so happy with its progress over the last year, and I can't wait until it continues to grow. Okay, and my first place Hoya is the Hoya australis Lisa. So she starts down here in the semi-hydro pond situation, and she just goes up. And the reason why I couldn't bring her to the table is because she's wrapping around this rack, and you can just see all of the baby leaves that she's about to put off. When the leaves come in, they're this red and pink color. They're redder when they're smaller. I'm trying to get that in focus. Yeah. And so I chopped this plant. You see these smaller leaves, and then they turn into like these bigger leaves. I chopped the plant right there, and then it gave me an offshoot and gave me these bigger leaves. Look how big this leaf is. And then I just let it keep growing. I cut 3 sections off and re-rooted them. It rooted really easily, and I sewed those on like a Facebook purge or something. But it's just been so easy. I absolutely love the variegation on this plant. Yellow and green variegation are one of my favorite. And this was easily my top favorite Hoya. I know that it's not like super rare or anything like that, but it's just given me the most pleasure to grow and is the most aesthetically pleasing to me. So yeah, first place is my Hoya australis Lisa. Okay guys, so that was my 25 different types of Hoya that I have in my collection, rated from last to first. So you guys let me know what you think about these 25 Hoya. What was your favorite? Do you disagree with me anywhere in my ranking? You can't really, because these are my plants. But in general, do you think that I got it wrong with one of the species? Because some of these species, some people would say are nicer than others. And this is just how I rank them, like it within my own collection. I will also say that this is just like also experience based. So it's like, these couple plants gave me issues, these have given me no issues, and so like maybe that's why I like them a little bit better. It's not like a true ranking of like the best plant, but just like the best plant for me in my home and my environment. So everyone is entitled to their opinion and like what they like subjectively. If you guys don't care, if you made it to the end of the video, let's leave a red circle as the emoji if you guys made it to the end. And thank you guys for coming and watching at Kentucky Plant Daddy. I'm going to leave all my Instagram stuff below like I always do, and I really appreciate you guys watching my video. I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you in the next one.